Hello everyone, hope you are all right. As we are discussing non conventional sources of energy, now we will discuss energy from the sea. Here we will discuss tidal energy, wave energy, and ocean thermal energy. So, first of all, we will learn about tidal energy. Before we learn tidal energy, let us understand what are tides. Tides are the rise and fall of the sea levels caused by the combined effect of the gravitational forces exerted by mainly the moon on the spinning earth, which means we know that the earth keeps rotating around the sun, and there is a moon which is rotating around the earth. So, because of their positions relative to each other, they also exert gravitational force on each other. Because of this, there are rise and falls in the level of water in the sea. So, in short, you will remember that due to the gravitational force of mainly the moon on the spinning earth, the level of water in the sea rises and falls. These are called as tides. Okay, what it is? Because of the gravitational forces between earth and moon, there are rise and fall, which means increase and decrease in the level of the water in the sea. These are called tides. So, when we talk about tides, we are talking about the level of water in the sea. Now, here we need to keep in mind that tides and waves both are different. Do not confuse between the two. They are different. How are they differ from each other? Let us see. We have already talked that tides are the rise and fall of sea levels, which is caused by the gravitational force between the earth and the moon. Right? Now you need to remember here that two high tides and two low tides are experienced in ocean each day. Remember this, that each day there will be two high tides and two low tides, as the motion of the earth is periodic motion. Also, the motion of the moon is periodic motion. The tides are also periodic, which means it is constant. So, every day it happens two times, two high tides and two low tides. Now, this high tides and low tides are dependent on the position of sun, moon, and earth. Also, it is dependent on the rotation of the earth. Now, why it is happening two times? Twice a day, two high tides and two low tides? Because the motion of the earth is periodic. That is why it will happen in periodic manner. Now, it is not like that in high tides means increase in water level, right? So it will not happen that for 5 minutes there will be high tide and for 5 minutes that will be low tides. No, it is not like that. If there is a high tide, it will be there for longer time, for many hours. If there is a low tide, it will be there for many hours. Okay, so this keep in mind. The picture display on the screen, you can see when there is a low tide, how does it look? When there is a high tide, how there is a increase in temperature. So this is all about tides. Now let us see what are waves. Here I want you to recall what you have studied in standard 9. Recall we have learned that wave is a disturbance in the medium. We have taken the example that when we throw a stone in the pond or a lake, there will be disturbance created in the water medium, and generally we call it as ripple. These circles we generally call it as ripples, so it will be created. So wave is a disturbance in the medium. When we talk about waves of the ocean, waves are caused by the wind blowing on the surface of the ocean or even lakes. Okay, it causes by the wind. When wind is blowing, the waves will be created. So keep this in mind that tides and waves both are different. Tide, when we talk about tide, it is related to the level of the water, the level of the water of the sea. And when we talk about wave, it is caused by winds blowing on the surface of the ocean. Now let us talk about tidal energy. So the energy obtained from high and low tides is called tidal energy. Remember this, when energy is obtained from high and low tides, then it is called tidal energy. For what it is used? Tidal energy is used for generating electricity. So the main purpose for this is generation of electricity. Now let us see how this tidal energy is helpful. Tidal energy is harnessed by constructing a dam across a narrow opening to the sea. Now we need to construct dams. For what? We know that dams are water reservoir. So in that case, water will be stored. Now, when there is a high tide, that means the level of water increases. Where the dams are constructed, so water will be stored in the dam, right? When there is a low tide, this means the level of the water in the sea is low, but there is water which is already stored in the dam. Now, the stored water, how will it be used? We all know that there will be water passing through high concentration to low concentration. So where there is higher water, from that it will pass to lower region. So same way here, this tidal electricity generation will work as when the tides come in and again when it goes. When it comes in the dam, when there is a rise in water, the water will store into the dam and the turbine will rotate and it will lead to electricity generator. What will be used for electricity generator? Generator, right? And when there is a low tide, water will flow from higher region to lower region, and this way the turbine rotates, and we know that as the turbine rotates, the generator will produce electricity. So this tidal energy will be then converted into electrical energy, electricity. So here you can remember that when tides come, it will be stored in dams. This is the first point. Second point, when the tide stop, that means when there is low tide, water can be left out. Means water can be given out. And then turbine rotates when water flows from one portion to another portion. As we said that water flows from higher region to lower region, when the water flows, the turbine will rotate. And when turbine rotates, it will generate electricity. It is so simple to remember. Only you need to keep in mind two things. One, when there is high tide, water will be stored in the dams. When there is low tide, water can be given out. And when water flows from one region to another region, the turbine will rotate, and as the turbine rotates, it will generate electricity. Advantage of this tidal energy is that it is a renewable source of energy. How much we can use this tidal energy, it is not going to get over. So it is a renewable source of energy. It requires low maintenance cost. It also has a disadvantage associated with it. Can you guess what it is? The disadvantage is that the locations where such dams can be built are limited. So, this is all about tidal energy.